Hello, welcome back to another video. This video is the start of a series of videos in which I teach you all how to code Minecraft plugins. Regularly, people tend to join my Discord server or message me asking how they can get into coding Minecraft plugins, but due to a lack of free time, I've always had to tell them to just watch a video or check online instead of helping them out, which I feel is the opposite of what I'm trying to make my work about and what my channel is about. So I decided to make a quick series which people can come and take a look and learn how to code. Unlike your regular tutorials, I'll be coding the way that people expect you to code in a real job, which may be less simple than others' approach, but I'll be explaining everything I do so you don't get confused. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or message me on Twitter or Discord. So enough waffling, let's get into the video. In today's video, I'll be covering the following: setting up the project and editor, using events, and creating commands. Now here's a quick message from the sponsor of this video. I have some great news. I've recently been partnered up with GamerSupps. What is GamerSupps? If you don't already know, GamerSupps is a healthy energy drink which is 0 calories, at 0 carbs, and isn't dumped with fillers. GamerSupps uses natural caffeine to give you a clean boost in energy without crashes that you'll get from other energy drinks. I've been drinking GamerSupps for the past couple months and can't recommend it enough. It's my go-to drink. Recently they've released a caffeine-free version, so now you can drink GamerSupps any time of the day and still get the benefits of the vitamins and nootropics to help you focus. GamerSupps is also well known for their waifu shaker cup. These are shaker cups with images of anime-style women who have large personalities, that when you fill the cup with drink, the color of their images is colored in. Make sure you check them out and use the link in the description. If you use the code Splodgebox, you get 10% off on your purchase at checkout. Thanks again to GamerSupps for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into the video. Alright, so now we're on my computer, and the next bits, my words might stutter a little bit because it's unscripted. This is just like raw footage. And we're just going to be setting up the environment that we're going to actually be coding in and setting up the actual project. So before we do that, make sure that you install IntelliJ. I'll put a link in the description to it. There is a free version which is the community edition. Now this is the exact same as the ultimate edition. Please don't think that you have to buy it just to use it. There is an ultimate edition which you can buy if you want to show support, and there's just a couple little features, but there's not much that's any different to the community edition. The only difference is that community edition is open source, whereas the ultimate edition is compiled by JetBrains themselves and they manage it and offer more support for it. There is no difference, as I said, between the two. You can use community edition and it's got the exact same things in it. So make sure that you install that. And we're going to actually be installing a couple plugins. Now, first of all, we're going to be using Lombok, which from what I've just actually found out now is that IntelliJ actually include it with IntelliJ, so Lombok is already installed on it. From what I know, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will leave like an update in the description or in the comments. But from what I know, they do include it with it now, and you just have to put it in your repository. But basically, we're going to be using Lombok, which is just basic. It's just a basic way to simplify certain things like getters, setters, and like object-oriented programming. People tend to not like it. However, I said in the start that we're going to be coding like how they do in real jobs, and I currently work for Citigroup and can confirm that they do use stuff like Lombok and annotation programming, stuff to simplify stuff. And Citigroup is like a large investment banking firm. So, I mean, it's on good authority that they do use stuff like this. This is what they use in the real world. It's good to know. I will be showing the ways that you can use it like without Lombok. So, you know, you can decide. I mean, Lombok, in my opinion, is just easier to use. It's just nice and clean. But again, it's really up to the user. There's not much of a performance factor that I can see or that I've heard of. So it's really up to you. Don't let anyone tell you any otherwise. It's really just up to you. If you think it's clean, if you like it, use it. Don't think about what other people say. So that's one of the plugins that we will be using, but it's already installed on it, so we're not going to be installing that. We will also be using the Minecraft development plugin that was made for IntelliJ. Now, you don't need to use this plugin. I'm just using it because it simplifies so much. It's nice. It's just an easy to use plugin. It doesn't do much besides setting up the actual project itself. And then once you've actually got it set up, it doesn't really do much from there. But it's just nice to have because it sets up the basic like stuff for the Gradle scripts, and it sets up like the basic main class and everything, and it just saves you a lot of time. So if you search up Minecraft in this plugins tab, now you know this little page that we have. Um, when you start IntelliJ for the first time, I'm not sure if you get sent to this or you get sent into an actual project. If you are in a project and you want to get to this page, I'm not really sure how you do that. So the way that you would reach this plugin page is just go to File, go to Settings, and then so if you click on the File button, then go down to where it says like Settings, not Project Settings, but the actual settings, and then just click on the Plugins tab, and it will open the exact same page. It's just in a different area. So we're going to be using this Minecraft development plugin. It's just easy to use. It's simple. Not much to it besides that. Let me open up the plugin page just so we can take a quick look at it. So I mean, it's basically just an easy way to set up your plugins. I use it regularly. It's not gonna do anything to how you like use the thing. I mean, the reviews are alright. Personally, I like it. It's easy to use. It's nice. You should install it. So once you've installed it, it's gonna ask you to like restart your IntelliJ. That's fine. Just restart it. Make sure it's installed. So now we're going to be setting up the actual project itself. So those are the two plugins that we're going to be using. You can obviously use as many plugins as you want. I'd recommend that you don't. You know, you can set up a theme as well if you want. Again, that's not important. I do have a theme on here, but again, it's not important. So what you want to do is you want to click the new project button, and it will pop up this little window. Actually, before I actually started recording, I just noticed that my IntelliJ was still using the 2021 edition, so I updated it to the 2022, and they changed the UI, which in my opinion is really clean, really nice. But either way, click on the Minecraft tab that you will have if you have the plugin installed. Again, let's say if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. You can just click on the there'll be like a Gradle thing somewhere. I think it's I'm not sure, but they should be like just a Gradle thingy that you could use instead. We're going to be using Gradle instead of Maven. I prefer Gradle. It's easier to use. It's much better. Anyway, so you want to click on either Spigot plugin or Paper plugin. I'd recommend to just create it as a Spigot plugin. Just because it's just basic. The Java version is really up to you. I mean, I'm gonna be building this in Java 17 just because it's set as default because I've got that installed. However, you can use whatever version you want. I'm not gonna be using any like Java 17 things, so I'm gonna be using anything from Java 8 and above. So you know, you can use any version that you want. So then go to next. Also, to get like these versions, you will have to install the SDK. So I'll leave links to that in the description as well. I'm going to also leave like videos where people actually show the whole setup process, because obviously I didn't cover all of that because I just want to focus on the actual coding rather than all of that stuff. So if you are struggling, I'll leave a couple of videos that you can just take a look at and learn how to set up. But anyway, so you press next. And now it's going to ask you for group ID and artifact ID. So group ID is, if you're aware, there's packages in you know, when you're coding in Java, and most of the times it starts with the URL like the .com, .net. I usually use net. You could use com. You could use whatever thing that you want, but primarily you should use like stuff like com, net, io, whatever. So I'm going to be using net because that's just what I usually use. And then this is the name of the project or the name of the person. So the organization primarily is what this is. So it will be like if you were coding for your company and your company's name was, I don't know, Microsoft. So you do net.microsoft, and then it's just whatever the company name is or your name. So obviously you know me as Splodgebox, so I'm going to be doing, oh my god, my typing. I'm going to be doing net.splodgebox. Again, it's not important, but it is important at the same time. Just for this test one, it doesn't matter, but you should definitely do this in the future. Make sure that you got the right thing set up. So the artifact ID, this is going to be the name of the plugin that you're going to be using. like you're creating. So my one's just going to be called example plugin. However, obviously name this what you want your plugin to be named. Don't just name it example plugin unless you're just making like a test plugin as well. If you're actually making a real plugin, name this what you want. So like, I don't know, Elite Armor or whatever. We're going to be using Gradle, not Maven. Personally, I don't like Maven. I prefer Gradle. It's more easier. In all these companies, they use Gradle. They do not use Maven. So it's better to learn Gradle over Maven. However, it's really up to you. And after this tutorial, you can do whatever you want. You can go ahead and learn Maven if you want. But I'm just saying, from my experience, Gradle is the more used build tool. So anyway, let's go to the next one. This is all just boilerplate stuff. So you got your example plugin, so the plugin name. You got your main class name. You don't want to edit any of this stuff unless you want to edit like the main class. But as you can see, look, it's got your net.splodgebox. So this will be your company, and then it will have the name of the project that you're making. So let's say I had Elite Armor, it would be .elite armor. And then the main class, this is something that I've noticed a lot of people make this mistake on. You don't want to name your main class main. Do not name your main class main, as it's not as easy to differentiate what your main class is. You want to name it the name of your project or your plugin, whatever. Make sure that you name it stuff like this. It's more ideal. It's just easier to use and it's good practice. So make sure that you do that. Minecraft version, select whatever version you want. I'm going to be using 1.18, but again, it doesn't matter. I'm only going to be using stuff that's in all these versions rather than just 1.18, and it's not really hard to differentiate all that stuff. Description, you can put like a description of what the plugin does. So this is what shows up when you do like about, and then the plugin name says /about, and then you did Elite Armor. It'll give you a little brief description of what Elite Armor does. You don't need to have these for the plugin to work. It's just nice to have. You can put author, so your name, yeah, so just put your name if you want. Again, all of this doesn't matter. This is just depending on if you want to. Log preface, blah blah blah. These are like dependencies that you want to add. So let's say I want to add world guard support or like vault support. I'll put vault so it loads after it's loaded. So if you put depend, it will make sure that that is loaded. If it's not, the plugin will disable. Soft depend just means that it will try its best to load after the other plugin that you put loads. So if I put Vault, it will try to load after Vault, just so it can fetch data from Vault and load before. Obviously, if this is like a base plugin, you're making a different plugin, you want to load this before another one, you can do that as well. Again, we don't need any of these settings. We're gonna go to next. Now we just want to edit this value, and it will edit all of this stuff. So as I said, we're just going to make it example plugin. Hopefully I don't have something already named that in my folder. But yeah, it will save it to your directory that you have set up. You can pick whatever one you want. And yeah, just press create and it should load up your project real quick. Now this can take a while to build and everything, depending on how good your computer is. It's more or less just, again, up to your system. I've got little plugins, as you can see, like the Nyan Cat. Also all of these little pop-ups. This is just because I recently updated all my stuff, as I said. But yeah, we've got this open now, and as you can see in the bottom, it's just indexing and everything. So if we go to the build.gradle, you'll see this is the Gradle script. Gradle is code, like this code is Groovy, something called Groovy, which I won't be teaching like right now, because personally, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about Groovy to that extent. However, I know enough to get by. That's all you need to know. You just need to know enough to get by. You need to know that repositories, this is where it fetches it from. So you know this is like the Spigot repository, and we're going to be compiling Spigot. So this is our dependency. Usually, like if you watch YouTube videos, they tend to tell you, oh, do it with file and then project structure, and then like build it locally. Don't do that. That's a bad way to learn everything, because nobody in this world does that. Just learn how to use Gradle, learn how to use Maven. I'm going to be going through it like real quick on what you need to do, but genuinely you don't need like to learn everything about Groovy or Gradle as a whole. You just want to get the basics down. So first of all, we're going to be pulling up Lombok. So we got project Lombok. Yeah, so we want to go to install, want to go to Gradle, and it will tell you how to use Gradle. So we just want these two. We don't want the test ones because we don't have any tests set up because it's a micro plugin. So you just want to copy this and you want to paste it here, and you'll see it says Maven Central. This is just for Maven imports, which it is using. So we got our little Lombok set up now. We've got the import and everything. And yeah, so what you want to do just to make sure that it's working, click on the Gradle tab here. Click on the project, just press that refresh button, make sure that it's actually added Gradle. Now, just a quick basics, compile only. This is what you want to use when you're actually putting the value. If you're trying to actually shade it in, it's either implementation or compile. We'll go on to that very soon. This is stuff you don't need to know right now, just the basic bare bones stuff. So the whole point of the plugin was, the Minecraft plugin, is the fact that it will generate this, it will generate your sorry about that. It will generate your plugin.yml, which you need to update and everything. You want to actually set this API version to a lower version depending on like what your plugins using, but like let's say you're coding at 1.18, you want it to work on all the other versions. You don't want to set this as that, you want to set this as 1.13 because then it will work on the other ones. So we've now got this set up. We have our Gradle set up, which as you can expect would have been annoying to set up without it. And then you got your Gradle properties, which currently is empty, which is a bit weird, but we'll find out why that's empty soon. Anyway, so now we have our plugin set up, and we're gonna get into actually coding the events and everything right now. Alright, so let's get started then. First of all, we're not gonna be coding our events in the main class. Yes, it's just an example project, but just know you should never do this. And I've seen a lot of people do it in their tutorials, and I hate that they try and tell people this, because then when I see like beginners code, it makes you look unprofessional. You want to look professional from the start. You want to make people like not just look down on you, because you know you want to make this your career, or if this is your hobby, you want to make people know that you know you're passionate about this. You're not just trying to set up like a little event in a main plugin. Yes, I understand that sometimes if it's like a one feature plugin, you're just trying to do a quick one, then cool, you can use it in the main class, but I would recommend to never do this. And also another thing that I've noticed is people don't use packages. Use packages. They are there for a purpose. They're used to make your code neater. They're used to make your code much more readable and usable for other people and yourself. It's just much more cleaner that way. Please use packages. They are like there for a reason. You know, you're supposed to use it for a reason. And I'm going to be showing you how I format my plugins. People do it differently. But it's all the same concept. You want to use packages, you want to use clean names that you can understand what's going on in this class. But for now, like an example of this would be you want to name a package listeners. Now I've seen people call their classes events. You do not want to do this. You want to leave the events package for if you're making custom events, so you want to, then you can group all your events together. We'll be covering that in a later topic, but like a later episode. Now another thing I wanted to note is if I do make a mistake, I will just undo it like during the recording. I might edit it out, but there's a chance I might not, so you could just get past it. It's just that I don't want to have to then delete the stuff and then re-record, because I feel like that would just be super annoying. And I'm really tight on time. I'm doing this like in my smallest amount of spare time that I do have, so I don't want to end up wasting that time. So anyway, we want to name our class like package listeners, and other packages we're not going to be using them, but I'm just showing you how I usually set up my projects. So we have commands. I've got one that has the commands. People usually have managers. I use controllers. It's the same concept. You could use managers as well. And then I usually have a data package as well, which will have your object orientated data that you're going to be using. This is my like the basic setup of most of my plugins. You can check out monthly crates on not Spigot, on GitHub. I don't really post much on GitHub, but that's probably the latest code. It's not the best, but it's the latest that I've done in the smallest amount of spare time that I did have. But this is just a basic setup, and this is how you will be coding by the end of this whole like series, hopefully. And if you need me to explain like in more detail, make sure that you just message me and I can go through it whenever I'm free. But we won't be using any controllers today. We won't be using any data. We will be using commands, and we will be using listeners. So first of all, let's make our listener class. Now, something I've noticed people do is they call their class like player damage event. You do not want to do this. Do not call your classes something event, because as you probably know, the events that you actually make, or the events that are in Spigot and stuff, are called block break event. They put the event on the end because then that's an event. You don't want to put your listener classes, like you don't want to call your listener classes events, because you just want to reserve that only for the event classes that you're actually making. So if you made a custom event, you then call it so and so event. You don't want to name like your listeners event, because it becomes confusing at that point. You don't want to do that. You just want to keep it clean and simple. So let's say right now we're going to be making a event that makes it so when you click a I don't know, a wooden block or something like that, a dirt block, it takes away a bit of health, and then we'll be making a command that actually gives you health. Simple stuff, but we're going to be expanding on that in the next episode. It's just that this is just for the basic setup. So let's say we wanted to listen for events that like just a player interacting with a block. You can name it like block listeners, you can name it player listeners, you can name it whatever you want, but you want to put the actual basic idea of what it's used for, and then put listeners on the end. In my opinion, that's what you do. If it's just a single listener, sometimes I just call it listener, but you want to put listeners if you've got multiple. And also you could do it if you've only got one event in the actual thing. We're going to call it player listeners, but again, it's really up to you. So we've got our player listeners class. It just makes it much more easier than putting event, and it's just more like people, if I gave you this plugin now, you would understand, okay, so any listeners for events that are related to the player are going to be in this class. So if a player right clicks a block, it will be in this class. Whereas if I wanted to like entity damage, so like let's say a entity hit you, I'd put entity event listeners, or like zombie listeners. It will be just more understandable for people. Again, it really depends on how you code, but I'm just saying this is the way that I do it. It's more clean, it's more understandable, it's easy to navigate, and this is just the best way in my opinion. However, you can always like try some other stuff. Anyway, so you want to make your class implement listener. Oh, sorry, my typing is horrible. And make sure you import the org bucket, the bucket event one, not any other one. So once you've done that, that's your listener class ready. And let's actually make the listener. So as I said, we're going to be making it so if they right click a dirt block, they get damage. So their health goes down by maybe, let's say, 3 hearts. So we're going to be doing @event handler. So this is your annotation that would just let it know that it's going to be handling this method as an event. So like you can do public void. If you aren't aware of like what public void is, what like private void and all that stuff is, I understand. I think you might want to maybe take a look at some Java basic videos. I'll leave a link to like some good ones in the description. You could just take a look if you don't understand anything at all. But other than that, you can just kind of copy what I'm doing and understand it in that way. Just a quick rundown. Public just means that you can fetch it from a different class. Private just means you can only fetch it from that class that it's in. Public, you would actually have to get an instance of the actual class. public static is like you can get it from a different class without having an instance of the class. It's a long thing to like explain, so I don't want to explain it right now. But again, I'll leave some links, so go take a look if you don't understand at all. But if you don't, it's not a big deal, honestly. So let's say like on block interact. So we give it a name. You can name it whatever you want, but it's just like whatever you feel like will be more understandable for you, that you can just go, okay, I need to check when they click the dirt block. So let's say you had like a class with like 10 different methods. You want to be able to just go through it, find the right one, just to change it. So on block interact, so I'll know, okay, so we're interacting with the block on this listener, so I understand that we will be doing that. So let's go for this one. And now we've got the block. What was it? No, it was sorry, it's been a while. So we want to do player interact event. This will be you interacting with something. We can decide what it is, but yeah, player interact event. So from what I remember, is it always been player interact event? From what I remember, it was block. No, it is. It is player interact event. Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't coded a plugin from scratch in a while. I've been doing my other job for a while, so I'm just trying to remember everything. But yeah, so now we know we're gonna be using the player. Like we're gonna be setting the player's health. We're gonna be finding out what block they're touching. So to get started, actually, let me explain a bit more. So now we've got our parameter, which is player interact event and event, and this event handler will make it so this actually works, because otherwise you usually call a method and you would give it like the parameter and everything that it needs, whereas this just initializes it, makes it actually work. But yeah, just in general, we've got a player interact event. An event is the name of the variable that we can actually call from. So for example, so we're going to be making a player variable, so let's make player. And then you want to make it easy to understand. People do player P. Yes, you can do it. But what I've noticed is in the professional world, in just normal Minecraft development, people will make fun of you if you make it P, because it's not professional. You should make sure that you make your variables like understandable. People can understand what you're doing. Because let's say you have player P and then you got like, I don't know, something called like a variable called protocol, and you call it P2 or something like that. It's going to get a bit confusing. You want to know what you're trying to fetch. So player, and then you want to do event dot get player. So now what this means is we're making a variable which is called player, and it's assigned to the player class, which as you can see here is the org bucket entity player, and we're going to be calling it player, and we're getting it from the event dot get player. So it's going to be getting it from the player interact event, and we're going to get the player. So we have the player now. And next what we want to actually do is we want to check, is the person actually clicking a dirt block? So we're going to be having to make a couple null checks, which is just checks to make sure that it's not like an invalid thing that they're doing. Otherwise you're going to get null pointer exceptions, which are errors, and you want to try and avoid that. So you could do this with an if statement. Now what people do is they do like, if it's null, then no, if it's like not null, do this, and they would like nest it all together. So like if this is not null, and then if this is not null, and then if this is not null, and it just starts getting a bit nesty. This is fine, you can do it this way, but it's more cleaner to just make it if and then return. So we want to be checking in a negative way. So if event.get click block. So now we have our click block. Now we want to actually check if the block itself is null or if it's air. What you can do is you can assign this to like a variable, so you can do like block. So as we know, we're going to be fetching this a couple times, so this might be a good idea to do, and you don't need to do it this way, but it might be ideal to do it this way since we are going to be fetching it multiple times. So what we want to check for, if block is not equal to null, we want to check if the block is null, because as I said, we're doing if return, we want to make sure it's negative. So if block is null, or, which is 2 lines, that is or, and this is and, 2 and signs. We're going to be using or. If the block is null, or if the block dot get type is equal to material dot air. Then we want to return. Now you're probably wondering why are you checking if it's air? Like if it's surely if you put if it's null, it should be air. No, it's annoying. I don't know why it's like this. You kind of just need to do this. I don't know if they fixed that in the later versions, but you know I've been coding for so long in 1.8 and coding for like all these other versions that it's just more ideal to just do it this way. It's good practice to make sure you cover all your bases. So now we know that it's not null. We know that the block is not air, so we know that it's an actual block that we're clicking. So now that we know the actual block is thing, we can now check the actual action that we're doing. You don't need to do this, but let's just say like you wanted to check if they're actually right clicking the block. So what we can do is we can do event.getAction is not equal to, and then we want to do like right click block, and that means if the action is not right click block, so let's say it was like left click block, we don't want to do anything after that. And the reason why I'm doing returns is it's just more cleaner. I mean, if you did it the other way, it would be nested. Again, that's fine. You can do it that way. There's no difference in performance. You can read online. Everyone has mentioned it's more or less on what you think is right, and it's more or less on what you think is cleaner, what you think is nicer. And I'm sorry for like talking so much. It's just I want to explain it all because I know that a lot of people have trouble like understanding what's going on. And I don't want you to just follow this blindly and just say, okay, all right, we're going to type this and that because you typed it. No, I want you to actually understand what you're doing. So now we know that it's a right click on a block, and we know it's a block. We're not going to get any errors saying, you know, this is not a block. So now we know that it's an actual block. We know that we're checking if it's air. We know it's not air. We know we're right clicking an actual block. Now we want to check what that block is. So we want to check if block.getType is not equal to material.dirt return. Since this is like the last one, you can always just check it positively and wrap it in the actual thing. So, but you know, just to follow on from how it's done here, we're going to be doing it. But actually, no, let's actually do it that way as well, just so we can take a look at. Now, I completely forgot that my keybind to actually stop recording was just the square brackets, not these brackets, but yeah, I accidentally stopped recording, which is so annoying. But I actually finished this whole thing, but you know, so what? Let's just get back into it. So now we're actually checking that the block is dirt, and we're going to be actually using this bracket, even though we don't need to. As I said, you could do it this way as well. But I'm just showing you both ways to do it because, you know, it's good to know the both ways. So now we're going to be setting the health down 3 hearts. So we're going to be removing 3 hearts from their health whenever they click the dirt block. Now, if you're not aware of Minecraft, every mob like that has 10 hearts. 10 hearts equals 20. So each heart has a value of 2. So that just lets you know that 1 equals 2, which, I mean, as you can tell, that means 3 equals 6. So we want to get 6 hearts because 1 heart equals 2. So we want to remove 6. So the way that we do that is we want to do player.setHealth. Now this will actually set their actual like inside health, so it won't actually set the amount of hearts that they have. If you want to do that, you can do player.setMaxHealth. That will actually set the actual hearts that they have. This will just set the actual health in their hearts that they have. And we want to, so realistically we can just do set health to 14. That will set them to 7 hearts. But we don't want to do that. We want to actually take away 3 hearts from their current health. The way that we do that is, as you can probably tell, is you want to get their health and you want to minus 6. Now this will remove 3 hearts. As I said, 2 hearts. The value 2 is equal to 1 heart. So 20 is max health, which is 10 hearts, and you know, so on and so forth. Now what it does is we are now removing 6 hearts from their health every time they right click a dirt block, and that is this event done. Now we're actually going to get onto the actual registering of the event. Now we want to go back to our main class, and as you can see we got the on disable and on enable. You don't need the on disable for now, you can actually delete it because it's inherited and it's like a super class. You don't need it in the actual class for the plugin to work. You just need what you actually need. You should always have an on enable because you should start stuff in the on enable, otherwise I mean what is your plugin doing? But yeah, so next we want to actually do get server. Now get server is only being able to like be fetched from this class, hence why people make their they register their listeners in the main class because it's from the Java plugin. Like if I try to, so I copied it, if I try to paste it here, it's invalid, we can't use it because it's not a Java plugin. Whereas now that we're in the Java plugin, we could do get server, get plugin manager, register. Now I've noticed this when I started learning how to code, people don't actually mention this. You don't want to do register event, you want to do register events with the S on the end, because register event, I'm not really sure, I haven't used it in a while. Yeah, I'm not sure what that does, but register events, you're actually registering the listener. As you can see, it's asking for a listener and a plugin, whereas these ones are asking for so much more. You should know. Anyway, so you want to do new and then player listener, which is the class that we've made our events in. You know, you're just making a new instance of it, which is, I mean, self-explanatory. And you might notice that, oh, okay, it's still giving an error, so why is it not working? You want to add this because we want to add an instance of our main class. Because we're registering it in the main class, you can do just this. But if you're registering it from a different class, you want to then get an instance of example plugin, which I'll be covering a bit more in a later episode, not this one. But yeah, there you go. You got your whole listener set up. I'm going to leave a little footage of it working in the corner because I don't want to have to keep on switching to Minecraft and showing you, alright, yeah, here it's working. I'll leave a little footage of it working, as you can see, because I've been coding for so long, I can tell you that it's working. I know from just looking at the code that it's working, and eventually you will be able to know as well. You will be able to code like whole plugins without even testing. Otherwise, you know, back in the day when I first started, I used to code like this, have to test it, then I code the next thing, have to test it. You don't need to do that once you're a bit more trained with the whole coding. But yeah, so now we've actually got our event ready, and now we'll get onto the commands, which is a big topic, and I'm so sad that I didn't record because I gave such a good explanation on it. So people tend to not use the Spigot, the default command system in the Spigot, bucket Spigot, same thing, and that is because people just want to be fast with it. It's all the same thing, but people tend to use frameworks because they don't want to have to go through the whole process of making a command, because it's just easy to do. If you're trying to code a plugin on the go, or you're just trying to code a plugin in general, you don't want to spend so much time making a command. You just want to be fast, you want to do it, be done. Whereas the default system is a bit long. People tend to use stuff like ACF, which is the one that I use. It's in beta right now from what I know, but it's made by Acar, is the same person who made Paper, the actual like server jar Paper, which as people know is a very good jar. So that just tells you how good this framework is. It's a command and like an annotated annotation style command. I'll leave like a little example or image of it on screen. If I don't, then well. But yeah, I use ACF personally, but the reason why I'm not going to be showing it now is because you have to actually shade it into the plugin. It increases the size of the plugin itself because you're actually shading it into your plugin, which is good for if you're making a big project and you want to actually just save so much time because it's got tab completion, all that stuff. But for just this example, I'm just going to go through the basic one, and then maybe in a later video I'll actually cover all of this stuff and actually show you how ACF or just other command frameworks work. Other people use just other command frameworks. There's so many frameworks out there. You can use whatever one you want. Please do not think that using a framework makes you any less than anyone else. And people tend to make it seem like that, like, oh, you use a framework for your commands. No, it doesn't work like that. In the real world, when you're coding, everyone looks for shortcuts. Everyone looks for a way to code faster. because no one wants to be sitting there coding commands. There's so many frameworks out there. I'll leave like a couple in the description. I know I'm leaving so many things in the description. It's gonna be so big. Yeah, I'll leave a couple like examples in there. You can go take a look, understand it. I will be covering shading and everything that we can use, like frameworks and stuff then. But for now, we're just gonna be using the default one. And to be fair, I haven't used this default command system in so long, to the point where I might get some stuff wrong. And if I get some stuff wrong, my bad. I'll like leave an updated thing during the editing process. But we're gonna be just making a basic command which heals the player, because we've now removed them. We've removed some hearts from them, and now we want to give them back. We want to heal them to full health. So what we can do is we can actually make our command. Now, this naming of commands is different depending on who you talk to. So I tend to make it the name of the command, so the actual command. So let's say we're making a heal command. I'm going to make it heal and then command. People make it heal and then CMD, or they'll make it command heal. So, people tend to do it like this. People do it like this. But I'm going to be doing it as heal command. Again, it's really up to you. It's just your preference. All three ways are alright. All three ways are fine. It's really up to you what you feel is right. Don't listen to anyone else, unless you're working in a team that maybe listen to people. But yeah, so we want to now extend command executor. Alright, no, I was wrong. It's implement. You want to implement command executor. As I said, I haven't used this in so long. So, if I do make mistakes, sorry about that. Now, the good thing about this plugin is the Minecraft development plugin is, as you can see, it's named it sender, command, label, and args. Usually it names it something so ambiguous, like, I don't know, arg1, arg2, something like that. It's super annoying. I don't know if they changed that in the recent versions, but back when I was using this, you would have to then rename everything, which is fine, but at the same time, you don't want to be wasting your time doing something like that. Now, what we want to do is we just want to make no argument. We want to make a no argument command. We just want people to do /heal and it heals them. I'll be showing arguments and stuff like that. So like you can do heal and then the player name and stuff like that in the future video. But for now, we just want to just do a simple command. I will leave a little snippet of how to do it with players and stuff. I'll just make a quick paste bin and put it in the description as well. So many things in the description. But yeah, you can check out that as well, and it just get a good example, because I don't know when the next episode will be. It will just be when I have free time, which is not for a while. So I'm just gonna hope that I can try get more episodes out rather than just the one. But yeah, so what we're just gonna be making a single argument thing, so we don't need to make many checks. So what we can do is we could just do return false just to make this actually we want to do return true, because it's weird. If you do return false, it will return like the actual like command is super weird. Again, I don't use this at all. But what we want to do is we just want to make it simple. We just want to heal the person, but we want to actually check that the command sender is a player. So what we can do, we're just gonna wrap in an if statement. So no, we can make it negative. So an easy way to do negative instances of is you just want to do if, and then you want the exclamation point, because IntelliJ is pretty smart and it will understand what you're trying to do. So if you do sender instance of player, look at that, it added in the brackets itself, because it knows what you're trying to do. And if it's not an instance of player and it's like a console trying to and a console's trying to execute the command, obviously a console doesn't have any health, so it's not going to work. It's just going to throw an error, so you want to just avoid that. So now we know that the actual sender is a player. What you can do is you can assign it so player is a sender. You don't have to, but it's really up to you. It's good practice too. But yeah, we want to do set health, and as I said, 10 health, which is the default, 10 hearts is 20. Each heart is 2, so as you can expect, full health is 20, And the reason why I've added a point .0 and D, it's a double. So I can do just 20D, but you know, you should be trying to understand like the whole what doubles are, and you should be respecting it so it can just understand straight away. You don't need to add the D on the end since it knows that we're doing 20.0, but I just like to add it on the end. Again, you don't need to, it's not a big deal. Now what this is doing is it is healing the player to full health, which is exactly what we wanted to do in the first place. And yeah, that's your whole command. I mean, it looks so simple, and that's because it is. People make it out like it's so complex, but it's not. And I'll be explaining, like when I explain the frameworks and everything, we'll be going into more complex plugin like commands. So ones with like conditions, one with arguments, all that stuff. But for now, we're just doing a simple command. So what the command will be is slash, ignore the slashes just so you can actually leave comments. So we'll do slash heal. And what that is gonna do is that's gonna heal the player to max health. So now our player is gonna be max health, and that's just slash heal. And the way that we register commands is a little bit different, but it's the same concept. Again, I haven't done this in a while, so not fully sure. Yeah, it's get command. We want it to be slash heal. Set executor, so it knows that this is the executor, this is where the command is actually located, and we set it to heal command. Same way that we're doing the events. But yeah, that's how you register your command. Now the reason why I said that frameworks are much more faster is because of this next bit. You now have to go to your plugins .yml, and if you got the Minecraft extension installed, this will be so much easier because it will show up with little pop-ups. So now you can do your command, which is going to be commands, and now you want to register your command, so slash heal. And the easiest way to just do it is just add a usage heal player. And you can also do like aliases, which is like, you know, like I don't know, H, or you could do like heal player. So if they do like slash H, it will do the exact same thing, but we don't want to add any aliases, same thing. Now we got our command registered and everything. Now we want to actually build the plugin, and the way that you do that is you can go to Gradle, go to your example plugin, go to run configuration, and you'll see build right here. If you don't see it there, go to tasks, go to build, and click on the build. And you know, and there's also up here as well. It should default be there, but if it's not, once you run this once, it will be there, and you just have to press the play button. So let's just run the build. Give it a couple seconds, and it's built successfully in 2 seconds. I mean, come on, build speed on Gradle is beautiful. Now, where will you find this plugin? You know, it's been built. It tells me it's been built, but where is it? So you want to go to your build folder, and you obviously will see this in File Explorer as well. You know, I'll show you in File Explorer as well. Just double check that nothing's showing. Yep. All right, so we've got our project right here, but obviously you can check it through here as well. So you want to go to build. Now you got all of these different things, ignore them. You only want to care about libs. And there you go, there's your plugin. I mean, just easy as it is, it's right there. And if we now decompile the plugin, so JDGUI, which is a decompiler. Again, you shouldn't probably use decompilers since they're not a good way to learn. I just have it installed because obviously I'm a developer. I've used it a lot. But as you can see, look, the plugin's right there. All the code is in there. We've got our listener, which is in there. And we've got our command, which is right there. So let me load this into Minecraft and I'll see you in a second. Alright, so now we're actually loaded into the server. I'm using Alexa node. Link in the description, use the code Splodgebox for 50% off. Just because my local is a bit broken right now, I can't seem to get a Minecraft server running on that, and I can't be asked to fix it. So I might as well just use the trusty Elixir node host. So next, what you want to do is you just want to actually join your server. I've got a bunch of servers on here that I'm just doing. This is the server that I'm currently using. So let's just set the weather to clear. And the time today. So time set day. So now that it's day, now we know, like, we're on the server. As you can see, we've joined. And so when we right click the dirt block, we should be getting damaged. So let's right click it, and as you can see, it took away our health. Now it seemed to take away a lot more than I expected, actually. Okay, that took a lot more. Maybe my maths was a bit off. 2 per heart, 2, 4, 6. Yep, that should have been right, but ah well. Next, what we want to do is we can now do our /heal, and that heals us up. And again, same thing. So if we right click the block, removes our health. So that actually removes 6 hearts. Maybe they changed that in 1.18. I think that's probably what happened. Again, you know, you can go back, just change that. But yeah, 1.18 they probably changed it to make a bit more sense. I mean, it did make a bit more sense to make it 10 is full hearts. But yeah, I'm just going off of what I saw before. So D/heal, now you're healed up. And there we go. That's the first episode completed. That's how you code basic events, a basic command, how you set up the IntelliJ, and all the stuff that we're going to be using in the actual project. And in the next episode, we're going to be getting into something a bit more in depth, because I don't want to just make it these simple things like, oh, commands and listeners. No, we're going to be going into actual coding. We're going to be going into actual things that you can use rather than just, oh, here's a command, this is how you do this and that. Lots of people make these type of videos. I want to make it a bit more complex, a bit more, like, you know, a bit harder to understand, and something that you can actually learn from. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you smash that like button, and make sure that you comment if you have any issues, and let's just see what happens in the next video. Hopefully I can get this out as soon as possible, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.